Man destroys his entire life for a 25-year-old. How can I manage the resentment my girlfriend, 25F, and I, 42M, have for each other? I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for the absurd age gap and the way we started. And I agree, I deserve it, but I would really like some genuine advice past going to counseling. She won't agree and I can't afford it anyways. Tangible things that I can work on and introduce to help us get past this either as a couple or as effective co-parents. Long story short, Mike's wife and I were together since middle school. We have 4 daughters in their teens. I was a stay-at-home dad and part-time worker for most of my life until my youngest was in middle school. My ex agreed to invest in a passion project business of mine. I had a receptionist. We started an affair and she baby-trapped me. Now we're living together and have a young son. She resents me because she feels she was fooled. She saw me as a business owner who had a nice car, nice clothes, took her to nice places, etc. She thought I was rich, so she got pregnant on purpose. Admitted it, not an assumption, hoping to use me to not work and sponsor a family from overseas. Well, actually, my ex-wife and her family are the rich ones. None of our homes were in our names. We were renting from her parents and giving them a nominal fee, with the exception that these homes could be left to my ex and me after their death. This allowed my ex's salary, up to $150,000, not huge in the high cost of living area, to stretch, and we lived a really good life. I left our marriage with half our savings, up to $25,000, and my personal property and car. I lost my business due to lack of funding and I did not seek alimony. I resent her because I feel I was fooled. I thought she loved me and couldn't believe the interest a young, hot woman showed in me. She was incredibly persistent and pursued me strongly, but she has no feelings for me, no care or desire. Now that the ruse is dropped, I can't believe I gave up my entire life for what I see as an ego trip. I loved my ex-wife. Really I did, and still do, but I had never been with another woman and any attempts to open our relationship was shot down. This was like a wet dream come true and I was weak. Now both me and my girlfriend are in a place we didn't imagine. She's living in a shitty apartment with an old man and still has to work. I've lost my kids, the love of my life, my family, my lifestyle, my business, and it was all 100% my own fault. She stopped being intimate with me as soon as she found out I wasn't rich. We're still together on my end because I feel like I need to have something to show for this shit show of a situation. At least I got a son and a partner out of it, at least it wasn't for nothing. And also because I don't trust her with our son. She would never agree to give me full custody and she's not a good mother. I'd be worried for his safety and the people she would have him around. I honestly don't know why she hasn't left me from her end. What can I do to improve this situation? I know logically it'd be best to break up and co-parent, but I'm afraid for my son and I'm embarrassed for myself. Is there a way to salvage this situation? I'm thinking of just telling her we can have an open relationship. She can sleep with whoever she wants and go wherever she wants as long as she lives here so I can have my son 100% of the time. I work from home. I don't know if that's the answer here though. Work in Progress says yikes, what a shit show. If this story is real, it sounds like karma came knocking on both of your doors. It's almost poetic that greed is what took everything away from both of you. Both of you are adults that are having to live with the consequences of your actions, of your decisions. I'm just sorry that so many people, your kids and ex-wife, have to suffer along with you. Another commenter says yep, even now he's shifting the blame to his ex for not allowing an open relationship. Opie, you should have just accepted it and shut up. You should have seen that you and your ex had something special, but instead you screwed somebody else and fucked your entire life up. Your ex and kids probably think you always wanted to cheat and never loved them because you kept asking for an open relationship. What the fuck was wrong with you? You gotta take accountability for everything. Look how great that curiosity ended up for you. You could have easily not pursued it because your wife was not okay with it and it would hurt your wife and break up your family. You could, but you didn't want to. You knew this could end up like this, but you just didn't care. Relationships take compromise. You wanted to experiment with others. That's fine, but your wife didn't want to. You should have accepted that. Your family should have been more important to you than your fantasy. Instead, you kept pestering her, and even after she made it clear she didn't want you to, you fucked the first woman that gave you attention. Look how well that worked out for you. Your daughters and ex are probably even more pissed off because you used your ex's money to hire your girlfriend and have an affair and son with her. The best thing is to just break up with her, get a custody agreement and take care of your son. There's absolutely no way your daughters will even think about having a relationship with you as long as you're in a relationship with your girlfriend. Your son also doesn't deserve to live in that environment. Actions have consequences. A 42-year-old man should have known that. Hope all the pain caused to others was worth the life you have now. I had an affair. My ex-wife divorced me and my kids absolutely refused to speak to me. I was an incredibly involved dad. Most of their lives I worked 1 to 2 days a week and then stayed at home with them the rest. I was closer to them than their mom, and I'd like to think that I've never disappointed them before this. I made a mistake. It's been over 2 years since it all came out and I haven't been able to make any headway. My eldest has hung up on the fact that I now have a young son. Every firstborn of each generation in my family has been a boy for a long time and she broke the streak. I honestly could not care less about that. I've always thought that pressure was stupid and that I'm not a traditionally masculine guy that always wanted a boy. But she's so hurt that I have a son and is convinced that's all I've ever wanted and needs to replace her and my daughters. None of that is true. All of my girls said they don't consider themselves to have a brother and want nothing to do with him. All 4 of them feel betrayed and blame me for breaking up our family. I deserve the blame. It's my fault and I take responsibility, but I can't change the past and I don't know how I can begin making up for it. My ex has full custody of them, but I'm supposed to have a visitation 1 weekend a month. They're all in therapy and it was suggested to not enforce the visitation and respect their boundaries while they work through it. I've done that the entire time and there's no progress made. Does anyone have any suggestions about what I can do here? My ex absolutely hates me but was always supportive of the girls staying in contact with me. She's respected their wishes but still gives me updates once in a while. My eldest is turning 18 soon and graduating this coming year and probably moving away for university. I feel like the time to make up with her especially is slipping away. I know I'm the shitty person here. I was a terrible husband, but I was honestly a really good dad and I miss my girls. Has anyone been through something like this? How did it turn out? What are your suggestions? And we have another update in a moment. But MJ says you were a great dad except when you used your wife's money to hire a 23-year-old, and then got her pregnant with absolutely no regard for what that would do to your children. You're still living with the affair partner. Your kids probably don't have much respect for you, and I don't think that's very likely to change considering you're still making the choice every day to stay with a barely older than your kid's affair partner. True Crime Fanatic says so I'm the kid in this scenario. I was an adult when it happened in my family, but it really fucked with all of our heads. All of us kids were instantly mad over the cheating, but I can tell you it makes you question the whole person. It makes you wonder if everything he ever said was a lie. He says he loves me, but he said he loved mom too, and look how that worked out. All I can say is give them space and time. They may never get there. The best you may ever get from them is being cordial. They may move on eventually. I can't imagine learning this info as a kid. I was an adult and it really messed with my head, especially as a girl. Like as if I haven't been cheated on my damn self and had to get over that. Then I found out my dad does it too. Shit, you not only fucked up her view of you, now she has to be extra cautious of all men. He's just a really complicated man. I learned this shit 5 years ago and I can't look at my dad the same way. He and my mom stayed together and she died recently. He seems devastated and cries all the damn time and he wants sympathy from me and my siblings and we just have none. So it was 2 months after that update that OP came in again and says good news, my girlfriend and I have broken up. She's gone back to her home country and left my son with me. Refused to sign any formal custody agreements, so I'm hoping she stays there and doesn't bother us again. I'm pretty sure if she comes back and demands time with him, have a good case for maintaining custody. She's not even interested in FaceTiming with him so he remembers her. I feel bad that my son will deal with a shitty/absent mother, but I hope I can get him into therapy as he grows. Bad news. I've tried my best to insist on visitation with my daughters and that has fallen through. They absolutely refuse to see me. They wrote me a letter together that says how much they hate me, how betrayed they feel, how they'll never forgive me and how my son will never be their brother. So not even bother telling him about them because they'll never be interested in knowing him. Just forget about them altogether and move on with my new family. I have no legal recourse. The youngest is 13 now, old enough to have a say in custody arrangements, and I don't think forcing them to see me would do me any favors long term anyways. They also included pictures of their mother's wedding. My ex has no obligation to tell me about her personal life, but I'm pretty pissed that there is a man living with my daughters that I didn't know about. It is a family friend that has been in their lives 10+ years, so not a total stranger. I still hurt to see pictures of their recent wedding and family pictures with my daughters. They mention that they have a father figure and don't need me anyways. The whole thing really hurt. I know I have no right to feel hurt that my ex has moved on when I cheated on her, but their whole relationship has moved very fast, so I'm now wondering if they started before we got divorced. No way to know now, doesn't matter anyways. My ex agreed to keep me up to date and send pictures of my daughters once in a while. After dealing with my son's mom, I'm grateful she is so good to our girls and I don't have to worry about their well-being. I'm trying to focus on being a good dad to my son and patiently waiting for my girls to grow up and reach out. It may never happen, but I'm hopeful that they will understand me more as they become adults and gain context for life. And we have another update in a moment, but Cutie Babooty says, well, I guess you didn't like what you reaped after you had so much fun sewing. Marco Polio says well, that isn't the consequences of my own actions. Contrive says wait, You're telling me my actions have consequences, when I do the wrong thing it's actually my fault. Absurd. I refuse to believe this. 3 years later, Opie came back and says, I've been away for several years. Most of you have heard my story so I won't bore you with any of the details. I deleted my old account because I was too embarrassed to ever come back to it. I took the advice I was given. I left my daughters alone and have not heard from them since, which is understandable. I did finally get myself in therapy and realized what a gross piece of shit I was to the 5 most important people in the world to me at the time. In the end, I came to the conclusion that I needed to accept the fact that they were simply gone. 7 months after their final contact, I wrote my ex-wife an email saying I did not want any further updates on their lives and that I would never contact any of them again. She agreed and stopped sending me emails shortly afterwards. It was painful for a long while, and I thought I'd just punish myself forever. I agreed with the general conclusion of the commenters that I am a narcissist, and in retrospect, I probably had no business being a father. I began to read books more often in an effort to gain perspective. In between taking care of my son and doing the best I could to make sure I appreciated how horrible I was and probably still am. 5 months ago, one of the regulars at my place of business took an interest in me and asked me for my number. I was pretty wary for obvious reasons, but I agreed. Knowing how prone I am to being an utter see you next Tuesday to everyone I care about, I was pretty upfront with her that I cheated on my ex-wife and had no contact with my former family. I figured that would kill her interest, but surprisingly not. She did end up interrogating me pretty harshly over it, which I let her do because I definitely needed to be dressed down over it by someone besides my therapist. So now she and her 7-year-old daughter, she was widowed 3 years ago, are with me in their house with my son, and we seem to be tentatively forming a new family. I'm very paranoid about something going wrong, so whenever I'm not working I always go straight to their place or mine and ask her to come over. I like to think I've learned my lesson, but many said here to me, cheaters usually relapse. I have zero desire to do so, but can a person truly change like that? I hope so. I will not cheat on her, I know it, but my past haunts me when I think about it. If my son ever asks me how things came to be, I'll tell him the truth when he's old enough to understand. We may not be family by blood, but the 4 of us are a family, and I will always be there for both of my kids. One thing that bothers me is how detached I feel from my previous family. I can honestly say I don't love any of my former daughters anymore, and they obviously don't love me, and that's fine. I feel completely at peace with it. My son, his new sibling, and his new mother are my second chance, and I've embraced it. But what does that say about me? I've spent 16 years with them, and in less than 3 years I've been able to completely emotionally detach from them. I've made it a point to not use social media so they can't see my new life. My girlfriend shares my disdain for it, but aside from that our existences do not affect one another anymore. I have a new father and role model, and I have a new family. It is done. That is all I have to say. Reddit. Now feel free to tell me to fuck off, since I deserve it. And the final commenters on this one says, I'm sorry, you've been dating this woman for 5 months, and her 7-year-old daughter is already living with you or at least spending serious time at your house. This is not someone who is acting in the best interest of their kid. Like attracts like, I guess. Enjoy dating a fellow shitty parent. Another commenter says, and he's calling his son's new mom. Bro needs to chill. Strongbottled says, you need to calm down with the whole family thing. Your relationship is ridiculously new. You're doing the same thing you did with your ex-girlfriend. You're just rushing into things and not thinking things through. You should probably just resent your children because they didn't forgive you. That's why you don't have those loving parental feelings. You probably think, I was your primary parent, and this is what you do to me. And it was like the comment said, it just feels like he's just making the same mistakes all over again. 5 months into dating this widow, and he's already moved a 7-year-old daughter into his life, calling the new mom stuff, declaring that they're a family. It just sounds incredibly messy and something that's going to follow the same path over and over again. But shit, what do you guys make of that one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. No update as yet, but it's from Comfortable Bird 3049, and it says, Am I the asshole? Not going to my twin's wedding. I 24 male have an identical twin. We're not close, but I thought we had basic mutual respect. That belief was tested. I grew up in a traditional southern town and only began coming out in college, about 5 years ago. It's been slow, especially with family, but since moving to DC in 23 for school and work, I felt more comfortable living authentically. After moving, I met my boyfriend, 26 male, and we've been together for 2 years. Over time, I've introduced him to friends and family, and I felt safe. Cut to November of 24. I was home for the holidays and told my twin and his fiancée about my boyfriend. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details arose, and they asked if I'd be bringing a date. I said yes, my boyfriend. My twin had gone to bed, but his fiancée said, while there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him. That felt like a green light. My twin constantly deferred to her on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double-check. 5 months passed. My boyfriend and I have spent $1,300 on travel, flights, hotel, etc. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned on a call with my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted. "Oh, is boyfriend actually coming?" I reminded him of the convo with his fiancée. He said she never gave me permission and accused me of making it up, then said we can't allow your boyfriend to come. We worry how dad's side will react. I offered to call dad on the spot. He dodged, saying he'd check with his fiancée, despite just saying it was his decision. An hour later, no change. I was still invited, alone, still expected to buy a groomsman match suiting, even though I wasn't in the party, and show up smiling. That's when I snapped. I asked, if I didn't invite your fiancé to my wedding, would you still come? He couldn't answer and ended the call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I feared for years, to explain the situation. He was surprisingly indifferent, and even said uninviting my boyfriend was extreme. He offered to talk to extended family. I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again. He now claimed our friends would be weirded out, so the excuse shifted. I said, if my boyfriend's not invited, I'm not coming. He didn't budge. Here's the kicker. Days later, my dad told me the fiancée admitted she did give me permission, but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there. She denied this to my twin. Also, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her girlfriend, but according to the fiancé, she's not part of the family, so it's different. So I didn't go. I'm wondering if I made the wrong call. My absence was noticed. I got texts asking where I was. My mom had to explain it repeatedly, so instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the story. My relationship with my twin is dead, and some family ties are now fragile. Part of me wonders, should I have sucked it up and gone alone? Just to preserve bonds that shaped my early life. So am I the asshole for skipping the wedding? Nope. Dragon says you came out to your dad, got gaslit by your twin, got lied to by the fiancé, and still tried to make peace. You did more than enough. They chose drama, not you. General says not the asshole. You did the right thing. Now you know who your twin and his wife are. I'm glad you talked to your father. That must have been a relief. I'm sorry about the others in your family. Kat Colleen says not the asshole. Your dad being indifferent/supportive came so far out of left field. It would have been fine if that had resolved the issue. After all, backlash from family is a major reason why people are afraid of coming out, and even just supporting a queer family member can lead to negative experiences with homophobes in the extended family. But that's not what happened. The excuse shifted. Okay, maybe the friends. Oh, there's a lesbian bridesmaid who's allowed to bring a girlfriend. Sorry, but your brother and his wife are awful. Your absence becoming the story isn't your fault, it's just one of the natural consequences of their decisions. You did everything right here, and you were more than reasonable. You were offering solutions, you drew a reasonable boundary, etc., etc. After you came out to your dad, which was like, whoa, but personally, I think you should be absolutely proud of your choice. You stood up for yourself and your relationship when it mattered the most. Some relationships just aren't worth preserving if they require you to hide who you are. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today. Getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.